Legal matters now on the morning drive. A ceasefire may be in place and has been extended overnight. That's the news, the reports that we're hearing. But the situation is still uncertain in the region. Businesses are starting to think about returning and rebuilding. But there are, of course, real legal risks if things change again. Rebound anxiety, if you will, is the phrase. So unfortunately, it isn't yet business as usual. Michael Kortbawi is a senior partner at BSA Law. He advises companies on legal strategy, and we're in uncertain times, and we've dragged him in here to help us. He's with us. Michael, good to have you with us today.
Thank
you. Look, I want to try and explain why the rebuild should be legally guarded as the kind of survival phase was. If a business paused operations during the conflict, or have taken a step back, if you like, what should they check first before, getting moving again?
Good question. As you can imagine, we're receiving lots and lots of inquiries about business interruption, but also about how things stand at the moment and what is the meaning legally of the ceasefire.
Yeah.
So you've seen the ceasefire being announced maybe 2 weeks ago and then being prolonged unofficially yesterday. But in reality, people who were aware of the situation and who had taken measures to change the way they were doing things because of the situation and the fact that navigation is on hold, cannot resume their operations and cannot go back to normal despite the ceasefire. And this has repercussions on the way things are conducted, and will only change once the situation goes back to normal, regardless of the ceasefire or not.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing because the definition of a ceasefire is a ceasefire, but it's a prolonging of a situation, isn't it? It's a very hard thing to come to terms with. What do companies need to review in contracts before assuming that they can resume, if you like? That's
well, as you can imagine, like overnight and out of nowhere, the number one most important clause in any agreement we are reviewing now is a clause that no one had looked at before in this region, which is the force majeure clause, which is usually at the end of the agreement, which I can assure you none of my colleagues and none of the legal people I work with spend much time reading or reviewing, and now it came at the center of attention. So every CEO, every legal team, every lawyer in town is now working very hard on redrafting this clause, making sure it will work based on what will happen in the future, the different scenarios. And it will help them find a way out if they want to stop operations or reduce them or delay them or ask for a postponement. So this is where we are.
It's interesting, this, because you need to know whether force majeure still applies or not. It's mentioned in lots of different ways in contracts, as you say. But if a business restarts today or comes back to some kind of normality, and we see a resumption in conflict, can you still rely on the same clause that was used a couple of weeks ago? There's a dilemma, of course. Or has the sort of foreseeability of regional tension rendered clauses useless? It's a really tricky one.
It's very tricky. And again, we're having to adapt to the situation on a day-to-day basis. And you have two types of businesses. You have the business that are directly affected. So, for instance, the people who had an event in Abu Dhabi or in Dubai, and they can still do the event. The airport is open, but people are reluctant to travel at the time being. So, what they want is they want to postpone it till probably May or till end of summer, September. And can they legally do it under the agreement? Not really, because there's no longer a force majeure case. The airport is open, everything is functioning. But at the same time, given the fact that in the instance of an event, for instance, everyone wanted to be successful, the doors are open for interpretation. And people, and both parties are being open for postponement or refund or giving credit notes for the future. This is how it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an uncomfortable position because I'm sat on a fence here. I can see both sides. The legal side is one thing, and the sentiment side is another very different thing. You advise regularly on risk mitigation. Are businesses actually checking if they have specialized coverage for things like I don't know, political unrest, whatever it is? Or do people generally just assume that their kind of basic business insurance will cover them if things go wrong?
So I can tell you for a fact that insurance brokers are now recruiting. They're probably one of the thriving businesses under these circumstances.
Right.
They're having to reassess political violence and business interruption risk in a very different way, very different than before. And of course, they have to price it very different than before. So RERA has taken an initiative some time ago to impose some sort of insurance as well. And in reality, it's on everyone's mind right now.
Well, it is. What about companies asking employees to come back to hubs, to office hubs, if you like, or resume travel around the region? What's the legal liability for an employer if a staff member's caught in a sudden escalation, for example? There's a duty of care.
Of course. A lot of the multinationals have insurance to cover them for that, and the cost of insurance, as you can imagine, will spike in case there's an incident. That's why they are reluctant to bring people back to the office. However, I can assure you that yesterday, and for the first time, my office is in the DIFC, I had problem finding a parking place.
Yeah, okay.
For the first time.
Yeah.
Okay, I was a bit late coming to the office. Okay. Don't tell anyone, but this means that, we're back. The center is back.
Well, there's been a feeling since Monday. The schools traffic, for example, is back. The school buses are back on the roads. I mean, there is that feeling. There really is a resurgence, I think. Let me ask you a really broad question. We're a little bit short on time, but what steps are you advising that companies take to avoid legal issues at the moment in a multiplicity of different ways, but particularly if we see a change in the situation, which we have, and of course it's been a positive change.
Of course. I mean, everyone's hoping for the best. Everyone wants to take advantage of the last 2 months before summer hits to do as much business as possible to recover from what happened in February and March. People are wary, but in reality, as I said, there are two types of businesses. Either you're directly affected by what's happening and no one can do anything about it, or you're not affected and therefore you have a duty to continue what you have agreed on before the events.
Yeah. What's the one question that everybody's asking you?
Obviously, who decides on force majeure? Who's the authority that decides on force majeure? And in everyone's mind, everyone seems to think that there's an authority that will come and declare a force majeure event. It's not the case. It's on case-per-case basis under the circumstances pertaining to each agreement and to each case. And the second thing is, do we have a right, for instance, to cancel agreements that we signed for real estate purchase before the events?
Right.
Do we have enough foot to stand on to declare force majeure and say we don't want to continue with the agreement? And the simple answer is no. No one does, because in reality the banks are opened, RERA is opened. If you want to transact, you can. There is no specific force majeure event in relation to real estate.
No, there's not. But it's been an extraordinary time.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Look, there's 1,000,001 questions I could ask you. We're a little bit short on time today, but for now, Michael Kortbawi is a senior partner at BSA Law here in Dubai. Appreciate talking to you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming in. This is Mirror Business FM.